All right, chat. You know what time it is. I'm a little bit tired today. We're doing a lot of long streams this week. 17, 18, 19, 20-hour long streams. So, been playing a lot, streaming a lot. So, I'm not totally awake at the moment, but I'm mostly there. That being said, I played a lot of Overwatch. Not a whole lot of comp, but enough. I have a pretty decent idea. And I want to start off by saying, it's very weird. This is probably some of the most balanced, like across the board Overwatch has felt in a while, per individual hero. Sorry, category. So like, tank still blows. It blows less than it did before, marginally. It still sucks. That being said, all the tanks feel mostly viable in ranked. Now at the top level, like pro scrim meta, Malga is still dominating. As you know, when I do these, I try to keep it more towards ranked / high level ranked. And sometimes I break my own rule and like, you know, certain heroes might get a bump because they're better in lower ranks, or vice versa, because they're really good in higher ranks and not that good in lower ranks. They might get ranked a little bit higher, right? So that being said though, it's weird. I would say that this is probably one of the more balanced times I've seen Overwatch in a while. But on the flip side, tank still isn't fun. I don't know how to fix it. Well, yes I do. But at this point, it is what it is. We roll with the punches. So first up, let's start with arguably probably one of the biggest slept on characters in the game at the moment, Ball. Ball's really good. The problem though with Ball being really good is you kind of have to know how to play against Ball. And there's two things. One, Ball is really good. I'm stealing this from Spylo. Ball is really good until he isn't. Ball is really good until he isn't. What that means is Ball is f***ing insane until you swap to all his counters, and then all of a sudden you can't play the game. That being said, I do think Ball's really good because unless you get a team of counter swap Carls and everybody starts swapping against you, you can pop off. You get a lot done. But once everyone swaps, now you can't play the game at all. Now you might say, but Flats, that's the tale with every tank. True, to an extent. Like you can still like you suck. Like you're not, like it's better for you to swap. Ball, like you legitimately go from like huge impact to useless. But Ball's still pretty good. Ball's really, really good. If you played against the unkillable Ball, you probably know what I'm talking about. Doom, even though this patch note wasn't very big, it did actually shake up a lot of things, luckily. Doom is not one of the winners though. I think Doom is worse. Doom, I randomly bumped into Zebra and I asked him, hey, how you feeling about this season? It was not a good answer. But basically, the reason why Doom feels kind of tough is because Poke's really strong right now. Everyone's just sitting back playing Poke, and Brawl is like the Malga comps, but that's like more of like really high level play or scrim play. And like the average players aren't playing that because they don't even talk in ranked. So like people have defaulted to Poke, and typically Doom's not that good versus Poke. So he's been struggling. Doom players struggling. That being said, I don't think Doom needs like any big buffs. I just think that the meta's not really favoring him at the moment. Because like, did get some small ones, right? Like the headshot, taking less damage from headshots definitely helps a little bit. But that being said, there's some other characters that are really strong. We'll get to them in a minute that kind of keep him in check. D.Va. I think D.Va's low-key slept on. I think D.Va's low-key really slept on. I think she's really good on certain maps and in certain comps. The question is, do I think she's better than a couple others? I'm gonna go no, but I think she's really good, low-key. Like the buffs that they did to her guns, like yeah, she doesn't really still do much to Winston, but you can get kills a lot easier with the booster buff, like the boop damage buff, plus like the shotgun spread being much tighter. D.Va's really good. I'm tempted to not put D.Va and Doom in the same tier. I kind of want to put D.Va up one, potentially. You know what? Maybe I knocked Doom down to C. Yeah, I think I'm gonna knock Doom down to C. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't. Here's the thing, okay? I don't think any tanks are S tier this season. That's the thing. I think that in scrim play, Malga's S tier. But on ladder, not everyone knows how to play with a Malga, and not everyone knows how to play him. I've done enough spectating to know that, especially in your metal ranks, people don't even know what the E does. It's like, all right, let's do this really quick. Let's jump to Malga. People don't know how to play Malga because it's almost like old Brig in Overwatch 1, where high-level players say the character's broken, but low-level players don't understand how to play the character. So they don't know if they think he's broken, but the reason they think he's broken is because like they just shoot him the entire time and he doesn't die, right? But like that is also true. It's weird though, right? Because like some people think like, oh, Malga's not that good. Like you can shut him down so easy with Sigma or D.Va, and that's true. But that's especially true for bad Malgas, right? Malga is a B. Yeah, you're high as balls. I hate to break it to you. The reason why Malga isn't dominating every single game at the moment is because one, it's rush that Malga has to play with, and it's really, really good. It requires a little bit of coordination. I guarantee if they brought back like pro play, like right now, like if we had something to really, really watch, Malga's getting played 100%. I mean, the meta, the patch didn't really do a whole lot of changes, and that was what we mostly saw at DreamHack Dallas. Malga got untouched. Well, who got touched? Hog, Orisa since then, right? Like Malga's good. Nope, Malga got diffed last week in the playoffs by Sigma May in one game. Okay, what game was it? Because if I remember correctly, walking into it, the Korean teams were playing Malga and the Western teams were playing Winston and Sigma, and they got smoked on. So they swapped to playing Malga. So, just saying, you're looking at one match in one game, and you're like, well, actually, I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. Anyways, we'll see. Malga really good. Requires a little bit of coordination, though. You're not going to get that in ranked. I think it was the team who only runs that comp. Well, they only run Sigma May. Well, I haven't seen it, so it's hard to argue here, but I have a feeling that that's not going to be the case for long. Hog. Hog did get nerfed quite a bit, but I don't think Hog is terrible. I actually think he's low-key still pretty decent. Yeah, he's not the same unkillable raid boss, but he's still kind of an unkillable raid boss at certain times. The problem is, he still one-shots. The one-shot's still really good. It didn't really do a whole lot, but the big one, and we'll get there in a second, is Hog typically isn't that good into Sig when you're playing hard poke. Hog is just gonna suffer a little bit. Plus, you take away a little bit of survivability. Don't get me wrong, still very good. It is what it is. Hog's still really, really good. I wouldn't put him in this tier though. Junker Queen. I wish Junker Queen was good, but she's not that great. She's all right. She can be good, but again, though, this is just the feast or famine of tank. You have that game where Junker Queen goes 31-0, and you're like, oh my god, Junker Queen's OP. Tank doesn't dictate shit anymore. You basically are just at the mercy of like what your team is playing, the comp is playing, what everyone's target coordination is. And so you have certain games where someone's 31-0, and then you have another game where they go 007. And Queen really falls victim to that more than anybody. Plus, again, like I said, it's more poke. Poke is getting what's being played more than anything. Queen doesn't do that well in poke. She's more of a rush character. And if you're playing rush, you're probably going to play Malga. So, next up, I'm actually going to throw Orisa as well in the C. I think Orisa is probably the worst tank right now in the game. By a little bit, but not by a lot. Just like a little bit. Because she's still survivable. She's still tanky. She's not as tanky as was before. And the window of cooldown or not having a cooldown is wider, right? Let me finish. No, she doesn't. Let's not buffer, okay? Let me finish. She's unhealthy for the game. The reason why she's worse is because people are so used to just pressing your buttons as fast as you can, right? And so I've played against people who play Orisa and they're actually good at Orisa. They still make it work, right? They still know how to make it work. They don't waste their spin. They don't waste their shift. And Orisa did get that very small micro buff to her spinning spear. So the window became slightly smaller, right? If anything, the big nerf was the 20% slowness when you're fortified. That's probably the big one that just like really makes it tough. That being said though, keep Orisa where she is. Please don't buff this character anymore. I'm so fucking sick of seeing Orisa every couple seasons. Just because we're not seeing Orisa right now doesn't mean we won't see Orisa if you buff her again. Please Stop. I'm begging you on my hands and goddamn knees. Please stop. Next up, Ramattra. I don't think Ramatra's bad. I don't think he's good. I think Ramatra's a good example of very balanced middle of the road tank right now. Yeah, not much else to really say there. Not the best rush character. Malga's still better. Ryan and Ramattra are pretty interchangeable in a lot of ways. Not really gonna dominate games. Not really gonna throw you games. Safe pick. Ryan also is gonna go in the B tier. Ryan's a lot tankier when you just play like the stand there and try not to die style, but it's really boring, and then you get chipped down and you die. And it depends on who you talk to. You have those certain players you talk to, they're like, oh my god, Ryan's OP, he's unkillable. And then you have people that go, yeah, Ryan blows, right? And the fact that it's both of those statements are true at the exact same time is why the experience sucks. Because it's so radical in both ways. It goes so radically both ways. And it is sad, but there's not really a whole lot you can do. I will say Amongst changes in the arcade, the creator mode was kind of fun. About the whole like shield breaking, you can go faster. Broken, a different version of it, and maybe a tuned version, potentially. Could be cool. But yeah, so. Sigma, best tank in the game right now. Sigma, for sure. I don't want to put Sigma in S, because like S to me is like dominant, pick almost every single game and pop the f off. And there's like certain maps in certain places like Sigma's not going to be like your best pick. But again though, this is what I was talking about at the beginning, like a lot of the tanks feel really balanced together, like not like the role overall, but like everybody feels like you could pick almost anything in the category and do okay. But part of that is just because like on tank you feel like you can't get anything done. So I don't know if that's like, that's probably a bad sign. But like their grouping as together, like as a group, isn't that bad. There isn't like one dominant tank right now, which is kinda nice. But out of the tanks that are on this list, Sigma's probably #1. I'd put Malga at #2 for like really high level play / coordinated play. Ball #3. But if we're doing ranked, Ball, I'd probably put Ball slightly above Malga. At least for ranked. But yeah, but Sigma's your #1 right now. I wouldn't put him in S, but still really good. It's a role problem, not a hero problem. That's a good way of putting it. Winston. I think Winston actually really good. I think Winston's actually really, really good. This might be a bit controversial. I'll put him in the A. I think he's low A versus high A. Like Sigma's a high A, Winston's a low A. But Winston can be really good on a lot of places. It's just not like a turn your brain off pick every game. You also have to understand how to play Winston. The way you play Winston nowadays is you try to take as little poke as possible when you go in. Is he better than D.Va? I would argue, yeah. I would say better than D.Va. And the reason why I'd say better than D.Va is just like, you're such a better enabler on Winston. Like D.Va feels like the defensive version of Winston. And plus that armor change. Like the D.Va does less damage to armor, while also Winston isn't affected by armor. So like in the 1v1, Winston is so much better now than he used to be when D.Va used to just kind of blow up Winston. So yeah. And especially with poke being strong, like if you're playing D.Va versus poke, you're gonna get poked out really, really hard and kind of die. But at Winston, you all in on whatever poke heroes are there, and it gives you a good fighting chance. So the bubble and the engagement and the ignoring armor is what probably gives you the slight edge. Zarya, I would also throw in the C tier. Hang on, let me rearrange these guys. There we go. That's a little better. Zarya is not bad, but she's not great. There's no really reason to play Zarya, especially with poke being strong. You're just gonna get rolled, to be honest with you. You get really, really high charge Zarya. Obviously, he's just a pub stomper. But like, just not the best pick. Not bad. Not bad. Don't need a buffer, but not bad. But not great. This feels so weird. This grouping, it feels so weird. This like little square rectangle of tanks, you know? It's kind of nice, but it also It sucks. I wish tank didn't feel so ass. Like, you feel like you can't do anything. Because, like, genuinely right now, it's not badly balanced. Just the role overall feels like shit. And so it's weird. And, like, nobody's asking for tank buffs. And I hope they don't keep buffing tanks because, like, people just turn and hate them more and more and more and more. But at the same time, though, there's also this growing sentiment with the community that they're like, people are just tired of hearing tank players complain. But it's so ass. It's like the experience sucks. It's people like, they just don't want to hear it. And it's like, but they want it to change. Like, people are going to complain when they want something to change, but then people are like, I don't want to hear it. Like, what are you supposed to do then? Like, you just don't say anything just so to appease you because you're just tired of hearing it? Like, what the f do you do then? Like, if it bothers you so much, just don't pay attention, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's kind of ass. I hope it improves at some point. I joked about this one time, but honestly, maybe it's coming to be less of a joke. I'm like, one more really shitty tank rotation patch, I'll become like a 6v6er, I swear to God. Okay, on to the DPS. Ashe, middle of the road. Not insane, not bad. Middle of the road. Decent pick, not your best pick. Poke is okay. Poke is pretty good. Ashe is typically pretty good with poke, but the problem is like after the health changes, her breakpoints kind of got changed quite a bit. So yeah, that's it. Bastion. Bastion's not that good. Bastion's not that good. Bastion's a solid C. Bastion is just kind of struggled ever since they nerfed how long it takes to use your shift again. It still sucks if you go against Bastion during that like 4-second period where he has his shift up. But other than that though, you know, it's like still not the best pick. All right, our first S tier of the day, Cassidy. Cassidy is insane. It is actually nuts. So Cass got a small rework this season. Hinder's gone, replaced with Flashbang, but instead of flashing you like old Overwatch, it hinders you instead. The hinder does from a 30% to a 50%. Never rank again. Oh, so you disagree that Cass is S tier?
Gorgeous man,
yeah, you're
your
bronze.
content, and when I can catch you here. Much love, Flamps.
Thanks for the 12 months, appreciate it. Cass is literally probably the best hero in the game right now. So, okay, sure, buddy. They also reworked his High Noon, so now it starts with the 40% thing, the damage reduction, and then it ramps down to 0, but you speed up. So you go from like barely walking to like hustling. Like he actually starts moving. And it's kind of spooky because you go behind a car or something and you're like, yep, I'm good, I'm safe. I just gotta wait out the High Noon. And then he just appears next to you looking at you and you're like, how did you get there? And that's not even with Lucio speed. Like if you do Lucio speed plus the running, oh my God, it's literally like running. Yeah, you're right. It's like running from the Terminator. Holy shit, dude. It's like, it just starts sprinting at you. You're like, whoa, get the out of my face. That plus he's still super tanky. And last season it was Sojourn Cass that were like the 2 best hit scans. And Sojourn actually fell off quite a bit after the nerfs. I am very happy to say. I thought that Sojourn would still be good because it gave her 3 buffs and 1 nerf. I was scared, but I'm actually very happy to say I was wrong about that. Sojourn is much worse. So honestly, really good patch on that part. They did it. They cooked. Next up, maybe also a bit controversial, but I'm actually going to put Echo as well in the S tier. Echo is extremely good right now. If the best projectile hero in the game. No, the second best projectile hero in the game, but up there, very much up there. So part of what makes Echo so good, really good poke, good mobility, and just copy. Copy's so nice to have. Overall, Echo's just been flying under the radar, being really good for a few seasons now. It's just been like constantly A, but I'm actually willing to throw her up into S. I'm very much willing to throw her up into S. Hanzo #1. Yes, Hanzo is actually our S tier. No, I haven't lost my marbles that much. Next up, Genji. Flying under the radar. Oh, you see what I did there? I don't think Genji's bad. I don't think he's good either. I think he has some places and some maps and some comps. Like, it always comes out on, like, the Circuit Royales. Like, Gibraltar's not that bad. He's got some places. He's not bad. Weird. Genji's just, like, such a, like, middle-of-the-road character now. But he requires so much, like, mechanical skill and knowledge to, like, pull it off that, like, the reward just ain't there. It just ain't there. So, I don't know. Next up is Hanzo. And this might be a bit controversial. But Hanzo ain't that bad. He just sucks. It just feels like shit to play. There's a difference between the character being weak and the character feeling like shit to play. There's a big difference. Also, I just for the memes, I need to show you something. So, Kiriko last night, me and him were playing. Wait, where'd it go? Wait, did he delete it? I guess it's not that important. Anyways, I was gonna say somebody called Kiriko a racist for talking about Hanzo not being bad. It was wild. I kind of wish I had the comment now. Yeah, it was kind of nuts. Anyways, so here's the thing. Hanzo ain't that bad. The problem is he feels like shit. You get the headshot from 90 meters away and they don't die, and you're like, what the heck? I just hit a headshot. And he's like kind of a sniper character. The projectile characters have always gotten extra utility, so like now they lean more into like the tank busting storm arrow play style and like sonic arrow. And then they also like changed the way his dragon worked. And I'm not saying he doesn't feel bad, but he's still not like, he's still good. You know, like there's a difference between a character feeling shit and a character not being strong. And I think Hanzo is not bad. I just think he probably it doesn't feel as satisfying to play. And I think you're probably in the same bucket as Junkrat players at that point. So, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say like, you know, the Hanzo players or get angry and say that he's not good. I'm not trying to invalidate you. You're probably right that it doesn't feel that good to play, but there's a difference between it not being good to play and the character sucking balls. The character doesn't suck.
Flats.
Next up, Junkrat. Junkrat's not good. But not terrible. But not good. I'm actually half considering him, maybe bumping him down to D. But at the same time, though, I wouldn't put him on a different level than Bastion. I think they're both just not good. It's just like there's so many better things to play. And we're going to get there in a second. I'm going to tell you the actual reason. I don't want to spoil it. There's just better things to play. Mei, low-key, really good. Here's the thing, though. Because people are playing mostly poke, Mei's not getting played in, like, ladder games that much. But here's the thing. Do play Rush and you have a Mei, you basically make sure that their tank doesn't get to play the game. You just walk up, you wall him, and then you just start blasting. Yeah, they nerfed the projectile size of the icicle, but they also buffed how much damage it does. It's like the old Mei damage. You actually can secure kills solo in your blizzard. Like if you blizzard somebody, it was a window like where like you'd have to headshot, and like you like might not kill them. Now you can pretty much guarantee get a kill at least in that. So here's the deal. Listen, Mei really good and it's scary. But the thing is though, you have to play Mei like a tank, and you basically your whole playstyle is to their tank. So if they play Rein, if they play Ramattra, or if they play Sigma, or if they play Orisa, actually Orisa a little bit less, but up there. If they play Junker Queen, oh my goodness, you're in for a bad time. Mei, but though the thing is though, her kill power isn't better. It's all in the wall. Mei's all in the wall. That's it. Maybe a bit controversial, but actually the best, in my opinion, flex DPS or projectile character in the game, Pharah. I don't know how many people have caught on to this yet, but Pharah is f***ing busted. Busted. Pharah is f***ing dominating. And you ever play against a really good Pharah right now, you're the only thing that's kept Pharah in check is the fact that hit scan's been really, really strong. And now you have Cass, but like that's kind of it. Cass is like the only thing that was like, it's like kind of even keeping it somewhat in check. But now people have figured out how to play the new playstyle with the Pharah, and it's like a combination of the old playstyle where you play like really far range poke with the bajillion mile-an-hour rockets, where you just go zoom, 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 or the one where like they're literally playing on top of your head in Mario style, jumping on your head and hit you in the top of the head with rockets. Both of them are both like, woof, very spooky. That being said, though, yeah, Pharah, very, very good. Very, 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 very good. I don't have much else to say to that. That's why Junkrat blows. Why play Junkrat where you can play flying Junkrat? It's way better. Reaper. Still early. I'm not completely sold on Reaper. They did buff him. They buffed like his shotgun spread, and they also buffed his teleport. I've seen a bit more Reaper, and he's definitely better. I'm just not sold on him yet, to be honest. I haven't played him very much. I haven't seen many people play him very much. The couple people who I did see play Reaper actually popped off. So it made me kind of go, is Reaper good? But I just haven't seen enough of him yet to really think I should change my mind yet. That could change. That could change. And if anything, yeah, actually you make a good point. Hanzo's also kind of gone into the tank buster role and has range and better utility than Reaper, who has to play up close. So like if you want to play tank buster, I feel like you play Hanzo over Reaper. But yeah. For the first time in Overwatch history, Sojourn has fallen from S to A to B. Sojourn has finally broken out of the SA tier. I actually can't believe it. The S tier has dominated by Sojourn, or the A tier has been dominated by Sojourn since the launch of Overwatch 2. This is the first time that I would say confidently Sojourn's not that good. Why? What happened? So what they did in the most recent patch is they knocked down her railgun from from 30 damage to 130 damage on the railgun range to 0 to 100. So the maximum damage you could do is 100 from the rail. This plus a headshot multiplier made it so that she like really can't one-shot you anymore. Like, yeah, you would get hit with like 3 or 4 projectiles and boom, get one shot. Now that range is much, much bigger. And so she's much harder to actually secure kills with. And so because of that, characters like Cass especially, which have a little bit of a higher HP pool, can fight back much faster and will typically win the duels. And because Sojourn has started losing the duels now, even with like a little bit of rail going into the start, she's fallen down quite a bit. Now, railgun pierces, it charges up faster and overclock. There was something else they did too. Oh, they buffed the damage the projectiles do. But apparently even the data supports that. Alec was saying on Spylo's, like Alec Dawson, who's like the lead hero designer, was doing a podcast or did a Q&A with Spylo, and it was basically saying that like Sojourn is 100% come back down, which is awesome because even at the highest level that's happened. And Sojourn's been a really hard character to balance because she dominates at top level play and sucks in the middle ranks. So they're trying to figure out a way to kind of bring her more in line with those two without like, you know, lowering the skill floor. So yeah, they've done a pretty good job with Sojourn. I gotta give them credit. They cooked. Soldier. I don't think Soldier's bad. I don't think he's good. I think he's very middle of the road. Can be serviceable. Can pump out good damage. Good against characters like Queen. Queen's the first one that came to mind. I'm trying to think what else. Like Zarya, I guess. Doom on some maps. Malga on some maps. Like high ground control. Just playing like super poke. Like, you know, putting the... Yeah, I got endorsed. I heard it. Just putting the DPS passive on over and over. Not a bad character. Not a good character. Just kind of very much middle of the road. Sombra. Sombra's weird. I don't think Sombra's very good right now, but I don't think she's bad either. I would say she has potential. She's good in very like some niche matchups. But typically I would just pick something else, but she's still annoying and she can still shut down your tank, and characters like Ball or Doom, you literally can't, or Widow, you literally can't play the game. And because Sombra has a niche where she can literally deactivate multiple characters' ability to play the video game, she'll always have somewhat of a place. Symmetra. This one's weird. I suspect that this is the way the game is going to start to develop soon, but it hasn't quite gotten there. And the reason I think that is because Pharah's really good, Echo's really good. So it's like Sim's not as good into them. But Sim is like the giga sleeper pick. Because Sigma's getting played a lot, Symmetra's really good against Sigma. The ramp up time is a lot faster, and Symmetra's played a lot with the Malga comps. So Symmetra has a lot of place, a lot of room to grow. The problem is though, I don't think many people either A, have caught on, or B, is just playing the more poke style, and you don't typically play Symmetra in poke, so it doesn't make sense. Give it some time. This is my more of my prediction pick. This is like something I go, she's strong, but I don't think she's not getting played that much yet. Or at least not as much as I think she should be getting played. Give it a little time. Torb. I don't think Torb's good, but I don't think he's bad either. I don't think he's good, but I don't think he's bad. But not quite to the level of these guys. I don't really have a whole lot to say about Torb. The turret's okay. He has good survivability on his E. The poke damage isn't really that good. Like, it's okay. Like, you just gotta hit your shots, and because it's a projectile and it's a slow projectile, you're not gonna hit that many. If it's really up close, like on a tank, like there's just better picks. But he's not bad, right? I don't want to say you have to buff Torb, but like, you know, he's just kind of in a spot. Okay, Tracer. Am I gonna do it? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm actually like kind of thinking about putting Tracer down a level into the A's, but she's just so good. Like, if you're just a really good Tracer, you can just dominate, dude. Like, that's the thing though, you have to be like a good Tracer, and she's so mechanically difficult, and you have to actually know what you're kind of doing. Not every player does that. You can't like turn your brain off and play them like Cassidy. Like, Cassidy is just like, you know, like anyone can pick up Cassidy. It's very simple, it's very easy. You just point and click, you play slow. Tracer, you have to play a little bit more risky. You have to play in their face. It's very difficult to get players to play certain characters or play styles that are risky to them. It's much easier and safer to sit back and play Cass and be a stat farmer, because like they're afraid of getting flamed by their teammates, right? Like, if you sit there and you're, you know, let's say you're 24-8 and you have 17,000 damage, none of your teammates are going to flame you. But if you're playing Tracer and you're like you're 13-4 and you have 4k damage, right? But those 4k damage are mostly solo kills, right? You're probably having a decent impact, but like, you look at the stat line and be like, oh, what the hell? Why is our Tracer only have 4k damage? What's going on? It's like, they're not farming off your tanks, they're actually going for other kills, and like your team's like not going in, like whatever it might be, right? Obvious rage bait, ... That's very ironic. But yeah, Tracer's really good. Tracer's really good. Speaking of really good, Venture's also really good, but I don't know if I'm willing to put Venture really high. I think I'm gonna probably put Venture in the B. I think I'm gonna probably play it safe on Venture. And I'm not sold on this one. I'm not sold on this one. I'm kind of like, how do I put this? I think Venture has really high potential. The problem is you have to play all in, and because everyone's playing poke and just standing around in ranked specifically, it can be tough. But you can also play that really good Venture and they go all in and they just kind of roll. I think B's a safe spot. I think B's a safe spot. Widow. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't think Widow's bad. I think Widow's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with Widow. The problem with Widow is she's very feast or famine. When your character's super feast or famine, it can sometimes feel like, oh man, like we have a Widow here, like they're not doing anything. But then there's also times where the Widow just starts killing it the entire lobby and becomes the server admin, and you can't ignore that type of potential. But also Sombra just like literally deletes Widow's ability to play the game. So that's a little bit tough to deal with. So, you know, it is what it is. All right, that's your DPS lineup. Support's a tough one this season. You know what's something very interesting? Because not people will probably know this yet, and I found it from the Alec Dawson interview with Philo. It seems that they're kind of walking back what they thought of as before of what they wanted support to be, is like this super scrappy, almost DPS type of character. And that's not what they want anymore. which is super interesting to me because I was like, wait, when did they make that decision? And I kind of actually think I understand it because the DPS passive has forced, especially with the 20%, has forced players, support players, to basically have to babysit their tank. And if they don't babysit their tank, then their tank goes boom. And if their tank goes boom, they'll lose more games. And it's almost like psychologically tricking players into healing more than doing more damage all of a sudden. And I've been wondering, like, I was like, wait, that's wild if that's actually their approach. Because support can still do a lot of damage. It can still kind of pop off. But I did think it was very interesting that it seems like they're changing their philosophy. Oh, another thing that they mentioned in it is that they don't really like the way counter swapping is anymore, which is very interesting because if you saw, which granted, I didn't even know that video was going out. I wanted to do a whole video on like why I'm not a huge fan of where Overwatch is right now. But Retro, sorry, buddy. You know, he just posted my rant of like just midstream. So it wasn't the most coherent of thoughts. It was just kind of like 18 hours into a stream just talking about why I didn't like certain things. But I still feel the same way. One of the things was like the article from the launch of Overwatch where they basically talked about how they were confident that heroes behind the battle pass would be fine because people don't actually counter swap and counter swapping's not really a thing. And then like season 5, that's when they came in and were like, well, actually we like counter swapping in the game. And we've all seen how terrible that is. And so part of my reasoning was like, it doesn't feel like you're guiding the game. It feels like the game's guiding you, almost like you're sitting with like you're behind a horse and your horse is pulling you in a carriage and you try to pull the horse to the left to take a left and the horse goes forward. And it's like, well, I just wanted to go forward. It's like, did you want to go forward? I think you wanted to take a left, but the horse went forward and you kind of lost control. And so the horse is guiding you. You're not guiding the horse, right? And so I'm sure there's an Orisa joke in there somewhere. But yeah, it does seem like they're changing their philosophy again, which is very interesting to think about. That being said, let's jump in. Ana, actually, low-key, really good. The problem with Ana is like you kind of need a good Winston, and there's not that many good Winston players. So apparently in Korea, Ana's like literally like the #1 hero. But Ana's low-key really, really good. And Ana technically got an indirect buff with Kiriko being worse because Kiriko got double nerfed. Kiriko's still really good though. But Ana, I think, is low-key very good. Not much else to say there. Bap's a tough one. I think Bap's really good too. I think Bap is probably your S tier support. If I had to put someone in S tier, I'm probably putting Bap in the S. Still really good damage, still really good survivability, really good healing, poke's really good. You know, shield break on another Sigma. Bap is just good. Bap is really good. So, wouldn't be surprised if you see lots of Bap. Brig. You know, can I say really quick? When people talk about deleting characters in Overwatch, Brig doesn't get mentioned anymore. Brig's had like a bit of a glow up. Granted, I still hate the ult stun because it's the size of a tractor trailer. And I really don't think we ever needed to add that back into the game. It just sucks to play against and it's so ass. But overall though, Brig has been much better in Overwatch too. You gotta give him credit. That being said though, I think Brig is still pretty good. I think that she's not dominating. But she has a place and she has a niche. The problem is with poke, you don't typically play Brig and poke, but there's certain times where like on Circuit Royale, actually Circuit Royale Brig poke is very good because you're typically poking really, really hard. And then when the engagement starts on like a corner or a bend, you actually play into them and go really, really hard. So Brig, I think, is actually a little bit underrated. But the thing is though, is not even her meta. Poke is typically not a Brig meta, and she's still good, which is kind of like one of those things that should set you off as like a, something's up there, right? Not saying she needs nerfs, not saying she needs buffs, but maybe give Brig a second look if you don't think she's actually that good. Am I going to go on a limb and do this? This might be a bit controversial. Yeah, it's a bit controversial. I'm in though. I'm down. Illari. Illari's so good. Illari's really good. And Alec actually confirmed this on the thing with Spylo, is like her pick rate and win rate have shot up recently. She was already good, and then there was some changes that got made where her pylon now does an extra 10 healing, but she does half to herself. So she only does 20 self-healing, but it does 40 healing per shot. Plus her beam is still pretty good. Plus she does really good damage. And remember what I said about what the meta is. Don't forget what I said about the meta is. It's poke. And a character like Illari that can take an off angle and poke is really good. So that being said, yeah, I've noticed, especially playing tank versus Illari, if there's a pylon healing someone, I can't kill them anymore. Without the DPS passive, I have to kill the pylon first, which means that the healing threshold is just high enough that I typically can't kill somebody before they kill me with the pylon now, which you could argue is a good thing. It's like, well, the pylon's doing its job, but you could also argue it's a bad thing because it's a literal turret that's just sitting there and you have to kill it first before you can kill the other person. And it's like, well, a DPS could cut through it. I can't, though. But that, either way, though, Illari, really, really good. Kiri. I think Kiri's still really good. I don't think she's bad in any way, shape, or form. I think that she's still a top tier pick. Up next, Lifeweaver. Lifeweaver blows, but you can't buff him. And he's probably also a menace in your metal ranks. A tier? Yeah, I know where you play. I can tell. Oh, I can tell off a glance where you're playing. Because as I was just about to say, you can tell what rank someone's in, but talking about how good or how bad Lifeweaver is. Because if you play in bronze or silver, or maybe even low gold, you think Lifeweaver is the most annoying piece of shit. If you play on really, really high level, you also think a Lifeweaver is the most annoying piece of shit. But he's ass. There's a difference. You think he's an annoying piece of shit because he's good. I think he's an annoying piece of shit because he's ass. And because why I think he's ass is because basically the character is sitting there and heal botting. It doesn't require much else. And then the pull, like, people just don't know how to pull. Like, pull is such a shit mechanic. I hate it. I hate that ability. I genuinely hate that ability. I remember when we first saw that ability get, like, teased, and I was like, this is going to be so ass. Because, unfortunately, most players mean good. Like, they're not bad people. People are not trying to troll your games 90% of the time. 99% of the time. People are not trolling you with pull, but they don't know how to use it. And so, like, there's so many times where, like, someone's close to dying. Like, there was a Twitter clip a while ago of someone who was like less than 100 HP on Malga, but their E was about to come online, and they're touching the point, and they're about to start, like, shooting the other tank so they can get all their health back and survive and keep from C9ing, and they get yoinked off the point because they're less than 100 health and looks like they're gonna die. And because of that, they C9, they pop their E, and because they popped their E and got pulled away from the fight, they didn't actually get value out of it, and they lose the fight, and it's like, it's so stupid, you know what I mean? Like, it trolls people unintentionally. It doesn't actually bring many good mechanics. It's so okay, I know you guys are talking about like Emog or Seagull trolling me in like games. That's just us having a good time. I'm speaking on like an actual game to game, like people are trying basis. That being said, though, he's not like the biggest troll pick. If like, he can get good healing, the tree is pretty decent, he has good shield break. He's not a good character to pick, but like, you can't buff him either. He's just not good designed, you know, just badly designed. When I forget to appreciate you, dude. Not saying the character's great. The kit is badly designed. It's just, there's not much to work with, you know? I feel the same way about Malga, by the way, just saying, but there's not much to do, you know? And the reason I'm going to throw him in C, and he's going to probably be the lowest ranked character in the game, C, is because I think he's still viable. Like, he's not a throw pick. The problem, it's just like, there's just no reason to pick him. You know what I mean? There's just no reason to pick him. Like Zarya is not a throw pick. You can get stuff done on Zarya. And there's going to be games where you play against a Lifeweaver that has impact. They're just not designed well, you know? So, your other S tier, 100% Lucio. Lucio's goated. Lucio's really good. If you play with a good Lucio, they can dominate the whole game. They can go in, get kills, they build beat well. Good heals, like, you know, like over time, as long as they're alive. If they die a lot, then they're not going to get good healing. But like, they can get decent healing as long as they're alive the entire time. The speed utility is insane. Boop is fucking awesome. Except there's like the tank passive, and like some people go, oh my god, the tank passive is too much, and I agree. But the point is, though, there's a reason for that. It's like a monkey's paw. The reason why there's such a high tank passive is so Lucio Boop can be as strong and overtuned as it is. Because if you nerf the tank passive, you'd have to nuke Lucio's pull, Boop. And so if you nerf Lucio's boop, then he's not as fun and he can't boop people. So it's like this is your trade-off. You can't boop tanks, but you can boop everyone else, okay? That's your trade-off. So you gotta understand that. If you're someone who sits there and is like, oh, but the tank passive, shut up. I agree, but at the same time, it's like if you want the boop, that's the price. Okay. Anyways, Lucio really good. Mercy. So right now there's the pink Mercy effect happening, where apparently like Mercy's getting picked a ton, and everyone's playing Mercy because of the pink Mercy skin. That being said, though, Mercy's not good. Mercy's really bad. The thing is, her biggest ability is res. Like, that is the number one. You don't get to res that often, right? You don't get to res that often in high-level games. In low-level games, it actually happens a lot more frequently, and that's what's frustrating, because you feel like you finally killed the tank, and then Mercy comes in and woof, swoops in, and then res, and they gotta deal it all over again. On high-level games, it's the damage boost, right? You're getting smoked by some hit scan, Adderall, freaked out. The guy's been up for 95 hours straight on his 15th monster in Red Bull and 9th tab of Adderall, and just like can't miss. And they get a damage boost and they walk around the map and just literally solo server admin the entire lobby. And they go, oh my god, Mercy's broken. It's like, no, brother, it's not the Mercy. But at the same time, though, damage boost does suck to play against. But that's it. That's it. Like, your healing sucks. Your Valk isn't really that great. Your movement's really not that good. It's not as good as it used to be. It's like Mercy's really not that hard to kill. So yeah, not really. Not really a whole lot to say. That the only buff I would give either Mercy is you either buff the cast time on res so it's faster. So like res can actually happen more often. Or you just have to change the way healing interacts, because like she just doesn't heal well. Or you change the way damage boost is. Like, I don't know, like, it sucks. Like, she's a great character, but also one of the most hated when she's good, because unfortunately people get frustrated. But Mercy's still really fun to play, and so it's a really sad synergy, and you actually can see it. A lot of people this week, especially with Pink Mercy being played a lot, you're again seeing all the people complain about Mercy players. You're like, oh my god, heal bot Mercy, oh my god, you know, whatever the it is, right? Like some bullshit, right? It always happens. But I don't think Mercy should be a bad character. I don't think that that's fair. So I don't know what to do. Don't ask me. That doesn't mean she's good, though. Next up, Moira. I don't think Moira's good or bad. I think she's just fine. I think she could be better. I think she could be much worse. I literally don't have much else to say about it. She's fine. Fine where she is. That's it. End of thoughts. Zen. Zen is actually still pretty good. Zen low-key pretty good. With poke being good, especially in ranked. The reason being, you play against Malga or Hog or Orisa and they have a Zen, you're probably in for a bad time. Unless their team is really coordinated and they just run at you and you can't actually get the Discord on them and hurt them in time. Zen still up a lot of the tanks, and the poke is really good and the range is really good. Zen may be a little bit slept on because Lucio's so good. Like, normally you'd want a Lucio over a Zen, just on average. That doesn't mean Zen's bad, though. I think Zen's kind of slept on. Low-key, pretty good. So, okay, there it is. Your season 11. Wow, we've been at this for 11 seasons now, and mid-season patches. Damn, we've been doing these for quite a while. So, here's your season 11 start of season tier list.